Ahora vamos a entrar a... Now we will define what we mean by strategy and tactics. We have spoken of the correlation of forces. We know that to win a battle is not enough to want to win it. It is necessary to plan well for the fight. Now, to plan such combat, we have to know the terrain in which we are fighting, and we have to know it very well. We have to know the enemy and its strength, and we also have to know our own strength. What are the weak and the strong points of the enemy, and what are our weak and strong points? We have spoken a lot about correlation of forces, and we have never defined it, because the word itself tells us relation, correlation. It is the relationship between and among opposing forces. We have to always assess as to whether a situation of opposing forces is favorable to us or if it is favorable to the enemy. We will now give example of military situation, the terrain of war, and we will explain why we use the terrain of war for demonstrating what we understand by strategy and tactics. Let's imagine a national liberation war, like the one that happened in China or in Vietnam. There we see that there could exist different ways to confront the enemy. For example, we can choose the strategy of the direct confrontation of the enemy. What does that mean? That the revolutionary army confronts the enemy army in a large battle, and the forces of both contenders are fully exposed with that direct confrontation. Our army and the enemy army, all our forces and all their forces are there. But if the enemy forces are larger and better armed, we run the risk of losing that direct confrontation. To choose a direct confrontation strategy apparently represents a very brave attitude, a willful thinking type of attitude, which can lead to a catastrophic defeat. What other ways are there? Another strategy, for example, is that of the encirclement. Knowing the enemy is very powerful, and in addition, where it is located, then what can we do? We can employ the strategy of encirclement. That is, we find a way of encircling it so that it cannot get supplies, and this will weaken it. That can be another strategy. And the third strategy can be dividing the enemy. That is, if the enemy is in two places, we can imagine these on a map. We put a wedge between these places, between the two locations, and such a way that the two sections of the army, of the enemy army, cannot help each other. And that is another way, dividing and attack the separate parts. Also, we would have the guerrilla strategy, of which we spoken earlier. Attack by surprise and ambush, at times when the army goes on patrols, etc. Estrategia, entonces, ¿qué sería el concepto de estrategia? So what does the concept of strategy mean? Strategy is the way in which we plan, organize, and direct the various battles to win the war or to win a fight in the war. Now, what are the tactics? They are the operation which enable us to specifically execute our strategy. For example, in the strategy of the encirclement, in which my army surround the enemy, one tactic is to impede the supply of food, to impede water and medicine getting in. Another tactic can be constantly threatening the enemy about an immediate invasion by our army, sending false signals of alarm and attack, creating feelings of insecurity within the enemy army. We will call strategic goals those long-term goals. They can be of two types. The final goal is what is referred, for example, in the case of the War of National Liberation, as success in the defeat of the colonialists. In the case of Cuba, we could say that the final goal was to defeat Batista. There can be partial goals, to defeat the enemy through encirclement or to defeat the enemy in one of its bases. Those can be partial goals. Now, a military strategy has to develop actions in order to change the correlation of forces, and to do that it has to prepare a strategic plan. For each strategic plan there is a time for designing, a time for application of the plan, a time for analyzing the results, and a time for re-elaborating of the plan accordingly to the obtained results. Those elements are fundamental for accountability. It is not enough to make a plan. We must evaluate the result of that plan. Many times we act without plan. And most often, although we have a plan, we do not evaluate how it is going so as to be able to rectify it in a timely manner. The principal method in general is that of learning to fight during the course of the war itself. We cannot be a great planner for all battles because, in fact, each action that is taken changes the reality, and therefore the plan needs adjustment. Also the measures that have to be adopted. Indefinitively, the art of politics is the art of flexibility in tactics, as we will see. The initial stage of strategic planning is very important. Already we have said we have to analyze the concrete situation and the forces that are struggling to reach the same goal we are seeking. A good strategist is mainly the one that takes advantage of all existing resources in order to change the correlation of forces in the course of the struggle.